gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Lexington. Welcome inside Rupp Arena, where the 8th-ranked Wildcats are back in action for the first time in 8 days after a busy November. They get the reigning Northeast Conference champs, the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights, today inside Rupp. Happy to have you with us on a Saturday afternoon with Dave Bradshaw, the former Tennessee Vols captain. Kevin Fitzgerald with you. So finally a chance for the Wildcats to catch their breath, although head coach John Calipari made sure to fill this week with some intense practices because there's a challenging month of December coming up.
Some of the most physical practices they've had all year long. The message to his team all week has been fight, imploring his team to have more fight. If they're going to do that, it has to start with the identity of Ashton Hagans, one of the best on-ball defenders in the country, but he's got to be more consistent.
The reigning SEC Defensive Player of the Year. A lot of fight from these Knights. Last year won their first NCAA tournament game, and now this year 2-5, record little misleading, but it finally has a healthy backcourt, features its two best players.
No coincidence they won their last game against Quinnipiac when you got Jaleel Jenkins, Xavier Malone Key, their two best scorers finally in the lineup together at the same time.
Malone Key coming off a game in which he scored 29 points. Jenkins, the engine of this offense. We saw some of these Knights players taking some photos, right, at shoot around earlier as they were walking into Rupp Arena for the first time. Welcome to Lexington, and here we go. Kentucky, of course, in the home white, and there is Johnny Juzang in the starting lineup today, the freshman's first start of his career.
He played well last game, shot the ball well, but more importantly, was good on the defensive end and rebound.
There's E.J. Montgomery, a little leaner, no good to start. Fairleigh Dickinson projected to finish 4th in their conference. They'll be up there, no question. Jaleel Jenkins and Malone Key have combined to average 35 a game in the early goings. Caleb Bishop fighting into the paint for two.
He's a streaky player, but he can score. When he gets going, watch out for the Knights.
He's the lone senior on the roster. FDU visiting from Hackensack, New Jersey. First ever meeting between these two teams. There's Tyrese Maxey, the future lottery pick. Gets it to Hagans. And the Wildcats 0 of 2 from the field to start.
Perfect execution on the defensive end. Kentucky has not had a paint touch in their two early possessions.
That was Malone Key with the first look. And there's the paint touch. Johnny Juzang in transition.
You got to get back, find your man. He was all alone.
A 6-1 record for the Wildcats. They've won 4 straight since that loss to Evansville on November 12th. One of the many wild finishes we've seen already in the first month of this college basketball season. And a strong drive to the rim. 2 more for Brandon Rush.
I love this kid, number 2 in blue, just a freshman. You want to know what type of guts he has? Here he is on the road at Rupp Arena at a young age, going right down the lane.
And taking it to the rim.
See, look at that paint touch. That's what you want. If you're Fairleigh Dickinson, to be honest with you. A big-time play by Nick Richards, something we haven't seen much of. You want to make Nick Richards catch this ball off the block. Fairleigh Dickinson does their job, but the evolution of Nick Richards taking yet another step. Off the dribble, left-hand jump hook, and one.
And that's key to the development of the junior from Jamaica, is the expansion of his game from outside of, what, just 5 feet and in.
He's got the 15-foot shot going. He is establishing deep post position. To me, the next step is, can they trust him to get that post up off the block, make a dribble move as he did right there as the competition and talent increases throughout the season.
Like you said, FDU did its work. Richards just made a better play. And Jaleel Jenkins got caught in the trap. Montgomery had that shot blocked by Williams. Kentucky can reset. Backdoor cut, and Hagans has it off the window. Maxey to Hagans. Look at the numbers for Hagans. 13 points, more than 4 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Not to mention the defense. Top of the key three. Rush can't put it down. Here's Higgins to Montgomery. Kentucky running in the early minutes against FDU. All these teams have never met. The head coaches are familiar with one another. John Calipari and Greg Herenda, the head coach for the Knights. Good extra pass to the corner, and Rush, a little strong. And there's Bishop in the middle of the paint. Jenkins from a step behind the line.
He is a talented veteran guard in the backcourt, but Fairleigh Dickinson has to make it tougher offensively for Kentucky. I mean, first you overplay and it is wide open on the back cut. Weak side help has to be there, and then in transition just after a missed shot, it's pretty simple. Find your man, get back, point him out. If Fairleigh Dickinson can't be better than that in transition, it's going to be a long afternoon.
And Greg Herenda said it to us earlier. It's a simple point, but we have just got to defend against this team. Going back to the Knights after the Maxey miss. So there's the Hall of Famer from Moon Township, Pennsylvania. Now in his 11th season as Kentucky's head coach. And you mentioned it earlier. He has been imploring this team in recent weeks to shore things up on defense. It's a 9-7 early lead for the Wildcats in Rupp.
Look at him, he's looking at defensive stats. Oh, what? Oh, are you serious?
And there's your exclamation point, Richard.
Yes, sir, Mr. Sestina. It's over. The Cats are #1.
Rebound. And Williams gets a lucky bounce and knows what to do with it. Made the plays that were there to be made and pulled off a program-changing upset.
Bounce it down low, knocked away by Ware. It's loose. David Kinsmill comes up with it. Here's Bain on the other end. Bain on the breakaway. Bain on the dunk. And the buzzer. Lumberjacks win. SFA has knocked off the #1 team in the country.
What a wacky first month of the college basketball season. So Louisville, you're up. No ranking is safe. 3 #1s have already lost in the first few weeks of the season.
Well, Kentucky fans will never cheer for Louisville, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're hoping they stay #1 leading into that December 28th matchup to see if Kentucky can be a part of that highlight reel mix one more time on the right side.
Well, it's exactly what we were talking about a few minutes ago. It's only going to get tougher from this point on for Kentucky, as it usually does every year. How about the rejection at the rim from Bishop? Montgomery able to clean it up. Louisville, the #1 team in the country, but remember, the week before Kentucky faces the Cardinals, it gets Ohio State. If the Buckeyes keep playing the way they are, heck, you could have a scenario where Kentucky faces 1, maybe 2, #2 and #1 in consecutive games.
And this is a terrific time for them to practice. This is how the schedule typically is year in, year out. November is front-loaded with games. Get exposed a little bit, very little practice time, then figure out who you are and start going into that coach or Camp Cal when school gets out. And this is one of the most important practice periods for the young Kentucky Wildcat team.
There was the first foul on Whitney. Well, and when you get these 8-day stretches, these week-long stretches of practice, sure, everybody wants to play, but you really can invest the time on a lot of things that you didn't have in the month of November.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, coaches love them, players hate them.
Bishop misfires. Whitney had started the first 7 games, came off the bench today, and he gets fouled on the spin to the rim.
And I like the play. I mean, it starts with Keon Brooks rotating that ball. Don't let it stick. Khalil Whitney gets an angle, goes in there and drives, gets himself to the free throw line. This guy is just absolutely explosive. When we were at practice yesterday, just watching him do a rebound drill, how high he got up. I mean, he was almost at the top of the backboard. But it's got to translate to the game. Use that God-given athletic ability to make an impact. whether it's rebounding, shot blocking, let the scoring come later.
He's the freshman from Chicago, one of the 2 McDonald's All-Americans from the class of 2019 on the roster. The athleticism is no question his biggest asset. You know, how important is, how big time is Kentucky basketball? Well, they keep track of the body fat around here. 5.6 for Whitney. That's the lowest on the team. Malone Key off the mark that time. I think you and I put on 5.6 pounds each yesterday after our steaks over at Tony's.
Yeah, the good thing is they only rate the top 5. They don't go any deeper than that.
That one was on the way down. Greg Herenda does a big sell, but Hagans gets credit for the basket.
Nobody in the country can stop Hagans from getting in the paint. I mean, his penetration is unstoppable. But he's usually a 2-foot jumper and tries to seek out contact. Like Nick Richards, that's the next evolution of his game offensively. He's getting in there, having a consistent floater, and then it's game over.
How much of it is confidence for Hagans year 1 to year 2?
Well, you know, once it becomes your team like it is now, I think sometimes you can put a little too much pressure on yourself. You start gambling a little bit more.
There he was hounding Williams. Here's Bishop going into traffic again. Richards was all over him to smother it.
Coach Kyle was looking for fight. I mean, how about this? They are all over the ball and absorbing the scouting report, knowing to build a wall, go straight up the way they did there. Just before that possession, spin move by Fairleigh Dickinson. That's when Hagans is supposed to go down on the ball. Followed exactly what they practiced.
Whistle away from the ball. FDU 3 of 10 from the field to start. Kentucky already with a couple blocks at the rim. That's the second foul on Rush, by the way. So the freshman is heading to Greg Herenda's bench. Emmanuel quickly. Well, a hole opened up. He had to adjust midair. FDU ball. And there is Mr. New Jersey. A North Bergen, New Jersey native. Grew up about 15 minutes from the FDU campus. He is home. Loves it in Hackensack. I'd call him the very captivating Greg Herenda.
For sure, very talented, extremely personable. I wish we had more time with him, to be honest. I mean, he is phenomenal, and what a job he's done. I mean, a couple NCAA tournament appearances. There's a lot of coaches around the country that would love to claim they got 2 tournament appearances in 7 seasons. Of course, they went the first year, did not get the victory, but then in that first 4 were able to defeat Prairie View A&M. Now they're rebuilding. You know, they lost some Hall of Fame type players for Fairleigh Dickinson program and finding themselves a little bit this season.
4 with starting experience are back, including Xavier Malone Key. Gone is Darnell Edge and Mike Holloway. But how special must that have been for the program to win its first ever NCAA tournament game? But then, oh, by the way, you got to hop on a plane and 2 days later go from Dayton to Salt Lake City,
yeah.
And you get Gonzaga.
That's the problem.
Kentucky shooting 50% from the field to start. Keon Brooks Jr. and out of bounds.
Let's see, here's the thing. Fairleigh Dickinson switches to zone. Ashton Hagans gets them set up in their spot, but because they get out of their comfort level, Brooks and Whitney just aren't on the same page. Just calm down, settle down, plenty of time on the shot clock, make the simple play.
Malone Key backing up with 6 seconds on the shot clock. A switch off 2 feet, and his shot is wiped away by Montgomery.
The whole goal of a defensive strategy is to force tough twos on the other team. This is a tough two, and Kentucky's doing a phenomenal job of swarming the basketball when Fairleigh Dickinson gets any type of penetration.
That was an easy one for Montgomery as Malone Key let that one go while he was essentially on his bottom.
And right now, against the zone, you've got to have somebody with a high IQ in the middle of that zone, a good passer.
Higgins, Brooks Jr. leans in for two. So the freshman from Fort Wayne with his first basket.
That's how you penetrate the zone, whether it's by pass or off the dribble. Higgins getting in the lane, penetration kills.
Now Higgins was among the top 15 in the country in assists per game. 6.5 a night in the early goings. And there's Elijah Williams for two. Wide open lane to the rim, and it was Quickly who got stuffed.
He can shoot it now.
Brandon Powell, though, misses his first.
Yeah, that kid's got range. Kentucky's got to find him.
Montgomery, catch and score.
Montgomery, assist to Higgins.
Kevin, I think Fairleigh Dickinson's right in this game if they can get back in transition. Too many times they're just letting the defender go right behind them for the home run ball.
Already 3 baskets in transition for Kentucky, none for FDU.
If you sprint the court, your point guards are going to find you, and E.J. Montgomery knows if he runs the floor, he's going to have an easy two, and none easier than this right here as Kentucky takes it.
SEC Network's SEC Championship game coverage from Atlanta continues at 7:30 Eastern with SEC Now. They'll have full breakdown with coaches and player interviews. LSU and Georgia later tonight. You can always watch it on the ESPN app as well. Kentucky by 7. A lot of the points, Dane, in transition.
Well, it's no secret. This team is best in the open court. That's when they play most fluid, and it's just been clockwork for them. Easy twos all game long with poor transition defense by Fairleigh Dickinson, but to Kentucky's credit, they recognize it, and if you're faster than the opponent, then play faster than them, and you'll get easy twos.
The 6 fast break points already for Kentucky. Ashton Higgins leading the charge for many of those runs down the floor. He has a couple assists.
And the thing is, if I'm the opponent, it's okay if we miss a shot, guys. Kentucky is so big, we are probably not getting the offensive rebound. Everybody get back. We're not sending anybody to the offensive glass. And if you're able to do that, it should put you in a better position to point your man out and force Kentucky to play in the half-court offensive.
And there's a giveaway. Quickly gets fouled. So you got Powell, who had trouble handling it. Leads to another turnover. That's the 3rd for FDU. The foul was on Elijah Williams, his first.
It's been a while since Nick Richards got a paint touch. I'd like to see him bury his guy, just 6'8", 195 guarding him, see if they can't get an easy two.
That's Bishop on him, right block. Zhang looking for the angle. Screen and roll with Richards. Montgomery wants the triple. Richards got his paw on it, back to FDU.
But a terrific job by Bishop, 12 in blue, undersized, but he's able to front the post, discourage that entry pass. As a result, Kentucky settles for a long-range shot.
You've got Bishop and Williams down low. They each go 6'7". And you've got the giant Nick Richards, who just got beat, by the way, by Elijah Williams, the junior from Evanston, Illinois.
The scouting report was play their big man as if they're threes. You just learned why, because they could put the ball in the court undersized down low, but they got some foot speed on the perimeter.
FDU has lived on the road early to start the season. There's Quickly with his first bucket. The Knights have already faced Notre Dame, DePaul. It's going to play just 2 home games in the first 2 months of the year. Challenged again against the 8th-ranked Wildcats. Bishop for 3. Kentucky on the move again. Tyrese Maxey. Strong board for Bishop. And traveling violation, B.J. Saliba Jr. Jab, but then went with the other foot before he put the ball down. Seven-point advantage for John Calipari's Wildcats.
And when it's been in the half-court set, the Knights have done a terrific job keeping Kentucky out of the paint. They're settling for jumpers. Fairleigh Dickinson fronting the post. So who on Kentucky's team is going to put their head down, get in there, even if it's a miss? Inside shots lead to inside rebounds.
Another three, but quickly this time drains it.
Next time down the court, go inside.
Quickly is Kentucky's best three-point shooter to start the year.
How good has he been? Man, you talk about improvement. Put the work in, and it is paying off earlier in this season.
The sophomore from Maryland has got his mom in town for this game. He, Hagans, and Maxey create an athletic and dangerous backcourt in the SEC this year. There's Brooks. Timeout, Fairleigh Dickinson, as this lead has swelled to a dozen, the largest of the afternoon.
Another young Wildcat with a ton of upside. Keon Brooks Jr. under control, getting in there, getting the angle. Just a nice, fundamentally sound play. Let the game come to you is something Brooks is learning. And I know Wildcat fans are extremely excited about this man's upside.
4 points for the Fort Wayne, Indiana native. He comes to Kentucky rated the second best player in the state of Indiana in the 2019 class. You know he's got the winning pedigree. He helped lead La Lumiere School, the Geico Nationals in New York this past April.
Coach Cal has talked all week about the two words, fight and finish. It's still early in this game, but this is a finish opportunity. You get a 12-point lead against Fairleigh Dickinson. Can you extend that to 20, 25 before halftime and really put this game out of reach? This is one of those opportunities for this young ball club to prove to Coach Calipari that they got the message this week.
That is a pass to Joel Justice.
He's good, man. He does it all. He recruits, he coaches.
You know, Bishop didn't really hit him right in the shooting pocket there.
Gotta give him credit for being aware, though. I mean, he was aware. Montgomery's got to see that high-low opportunity. Richards had him on his back.
Quickly with a burst of speed and then a foul at the rim.
Again, if you're going to front as a defense, then that means there's a high-low opportunity. Try to catch the opponent on your high side. So when they swing that ball in the middle, Montgomery's got to look over the top for Richards. Don't be so quick to rotate it on the perimeter.
Quickly, 93% from the stripe this year.
And he's a guy coming off the bench, but as Jerry Stackhouse at Vanderbilt said, they've got a great player come off the bench, Saban Lee. He said he learned in the NBA you have the difference between starting and starters. Quickly is a starter for this team. He's just not starting.
Run for the Wildcats. Bishop sets his feet. Rebound Maxey. To Quickly. Oh, he was leaning into that three. There's Montgomery to stuff it back. The Wildcats are running in the first half. Jenkins off balance. Last touch by Kentucky.
This Kentucky team is red hot right now. Even when they miss, the big man's got their back. E.J. Montgomery. Watch your head.
Kentucky by 16, 7:27 to go in the first. Well, how well do you know, as our colleague Seth Greenberg calls it, the Harvard on the Hackensack, the FDU alum himself? That's how he describes Fairleigh Dickinson. Located in Teaneck, New Jersey, right outside of New York City. It's the largest private institution in the state. And amazingly, there's 20 different Dunkin' Donuts within a 4-mile radius around campus. That's actually true. Google Maps tells me that. I think it's astonishing, the Dunkin' Donut volume, if you will, in the state of New Jersey. It's amazing. There's Nick Richards on the follow. You can't drive down the street without passing like 3.
Well, we have gotten as many dunks out of Kentucky as there are Dunkin' Donuts stores near Teaneck, but Coach Renda being the Teaneck Man of the Year. I mean, he does so much more than coaching for this program. He's out and about with the donors in the community. He even has his own radio show on Sunday mornings. How many people can say that?
I think he booked you as a guest, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. And which would not do anything to raise the ratings, but he has had some quality guest appearances on there, including Coach Calipari himself.
The two have known each other for a long time. Actually, the iconic 5-star basketball camps, they worked one of those together in years past. And yes, Calipari joined Greg Herenda on the Greg Herenda Show. He hosted himself, which is on WFDU,
baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saturday mornings. There was a foul, and that is away from the ball there. It goes against the Knights. So Kentucky ball. And Herenda loves the northern New Jersey community. Born and raised in North Bergen, not far from Teaneck. He strolls into shoot-around today, and he had his headphones in. You asked him, Coach, what are you listening to? Of course, the answer was Bruce Springsteen.
Of course.
Juzang, the Los Angeles native, starting his first game. Sets the feet. And the follow! Oh, it's Khalil Whitney rising high above the rim.
I told you before the game you were going to get a highlight with a tip dunk from Khalil Whitney. I called it, baby.
Now they're running. Good deflection from Saliba.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, this ball comes off perfectly as long as you have a 42-inch vertical and can put your head above the rim. Unbelievable with the flush by Whitney. Wow.
I think you turned to me, maybe half hour before tip, you said, he's going to make some big plays tonight.
Well, I just had that chance to see them in person, and once you see him in practice and just see the athleticism, even in dummy drills, it is absolutely insane how athletic that young man is.
The 12th rated prospect in this past year's ESPN 100. 5-star recruit. Amazing athlete. Hagan's eyes up. Maxey. Oh, dancing on the baseline with the reverse. Tyrese Maxey. There's the other 5-star freshman All-American. 17-0 run. That's nearing 5 long minutes now for the Knights. Well, they've taken a lot of threes, haven't hit many. Just 1 of 10 from beyond the arc. This is going to stay here with 7 of the shot clock.
Ashton Hagans, as I said, nobody can keep him out of the paint. He's crafty. Now he's going to do a Euro step to get in the paint, draw another defender. I mean, that's the key to the bucket by Maxey right there, is the leadership from the point guard and just the creativity to get in the lane, draw the defense, break them down.
3rd assist for Hagans. 2 to shoot. Malone Key's got to let it go. And it just barely grazed the rim.
Kevin, it was 25-13 when we talked about the opportunity to prove you could finish, even though it's early in the game. And here we are, 10-0 run since that statement, 17-0 run overall.
John Calipari mentioned some of his prior teams, too. Teams of years past, like that 2015 team that went undefeated up to the final weekend of the year about how it finished games, imploring this Sears team to do so, especially in the early goings of the season. Jenkins with the step back. How big was he in that NCAA tournament win in the first 4 in Dayton for the Knights back in March?
And just a sophomore at the time. I mean, not scared of the moment. You find out who your ballers are, who your warriors are in clutch time and on the big stage. And there's no question, Jaleel Jenkins is all of that.
That pass out of Montgomery's reach. Good bounce feed. Williams to Jenkins. Now to rush for 3. Consecutive triples. And the Knights have it back to 16.
How about that? Williams pushing the fast break for Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, he gets the over-the-head bounce pass coming right down full court. Jaleel Jenkins finds the trailer, and all of a sudden, the Knights finally heating up.
March 20th, Greg Horrendous Fairleigh Dickinson Knights took down Prairie View A&M in one of the first 4 games in Dayton. The program's first ever NCAA tournament win. And, well, one of the players that led the charge there was Jaleel Jenkins. How about this from Jenkins?
And Elijah Williams with the over-the-head bounce pass in transition. That's your center running the show. And the difference there is it's an assisted three-pointer. Just 3 of 12 from 3 are the Knights. It shows they're willing to jack a bunch of threes. It's just got to be quality looks. Too many just off the dribble, pull up one-on-one type shots. If they can create more assisted opportunities, they've got a chance to get hot from deep. They've got enough shooters.
Difficult against pretty vexing defense right now from the Wildcats. And it seems like the defense has improved over the last couple games. Quickly, that's a 3. Montgomery finds Maxey, leans in, and the rebound to Jenkins. FDU went to the timeout, hitting consecutive 3s. Trying to get it back within 15. Maybe a late first half push inside Rupp Arena. So first visit for the Knights to Rupp Arena. How would you describe your first visit? What's it like when you walk into this building?
It's more about what's it like when you walk out. You got your head down, you're ashamed and embarrassed from a butt whooping, or you're able to pull something off pretty special and be able to tell your kids you won at Rupp Arena. So we were able to do that 1 time out of 4. But
I was going to say, you could share both stories.
Yeah. No, I won't share both. I'm only sharing one.
Kentucky is vying for its 600th win inside Rupp Arena. Look at the winning percentage since they opened up this place in 1976. Nearly 90% of the time they win here. And of course, the first act to perform at Rupp was Lawrence Welk. The most recent was the band last night, Five Finger Death Punch. Same clientele, right? Visiting both acts.
Find me somebody that went to both acts, and I will give you $100. I guarantee it.
Jenkins, a deep 3.
And it can't be somebody working the concert. You have to have bought a ticket for both.
Is that on the fine print on the back of those tickets? Usually it's like get $1 off your next Subway purchase.
Yeah.
Get 100 from Dane Bradshaw. Juzang heading to the line. 2:36 to go in the first. It's going to be a luxury when he starts hitting his shots, getting going from the field. A freshman who was dubbed a sharpshooter coming in.
It's a big opportunity for him with Nate Sestina out. I mean, Coach Cal does not like to have more than 8 players in the rotation, so it's a fight to be within one of those.
So tomorrow at 6 Eastern, we've got the annual 2-hour SEC Now Bowl special. A look at the SEC teams that are playing in bowl games. Get the complete breakdown. Like everything else, this is also live on the ESPN app. So 9 teams of the SEC bowl eligible. There could be 3 or 4 and New Year's 6 bowls in the SEC championship game. Currently ongoing, a 7-0 lead for Joe Burrow and the Tigers.
Utah losing, Oklahoma won in overtime, correct?
How about that?
So Oklahoma definitely cheering for LSU right now.
Montgomery finishes at the rim. He's into double figures. A fine first half for the sophomore from Fort Pierce, Florida.
The attention Ashton Hagans can draw off his penetration is the key to these great looks inside the paint.
A stellar step from freshman to sophomore year for Hagans. Baseline pass into traffic. Ju Zhang got his hand on it. The giveaway right back to the Knights, and Powell scores. Kentucky looking for its 5th straight win with an 18-point lead over visiting Fairleigh Dickinson. To the paint, there's Richards. Well, there's the paint touch, and the hook shot is strong.
How good is that? I mean, as long as he's not fading away, as Coach Cal said, he gets in there, he is ambidextrous. I mean, a terrific shot with the offhand for E.J. Montgomery.
12 today. He had 16 last week against UAB. This helps the confidence of the former McDonald's All-American. Jenkins passes up the 3. Adjusting in midair, scores. Montgomery, turn and score. 14 points for E.J. Montgomery in the first half. He looks healthier too. Remember, he missed 3 games earlier this year due to an ankle injury. Consecutive strong games for the sophomore. Bishop down and out. And Kentucky closes out the half with a 20-point lead. The Wildcats shoot 53% from the field, score 28 of their points in the paint. 8 fast break points as well. Here's Dane Bradshaw with John Calipari.
Coach, the theme of the week has been about fight. How would you assess the fight from your young team?
I got to watch the tape to really see. I mean, again, you get up 22, basket, 3 basket, I got to call timeout. Why? Making the hardest plays yet. But they're battling. And now we just got to get our rotation going where we understand where we're talking to one another. But we're getting better. That's all I can ask.
Thanks, Coach.
It's a 20-point lead for the Wildcats. So coming up at the half, it's the State Farm halftime report. We're going to have first half highlights and stats. And some thoughtful messages from Coach K and Dickie V during Jimmy V week. What a half for E.J. Montgomery. Closes it out with 14 points. His Wildcats up 20 at the break. Kentucky has won 599 times here. Leads by 20 over FDU, going for win number 600 inside Rupp Arena. Glad that you're with us this Saturday with Dane Bradshaw, Memphis's favorite point guard. Kevin Fitzgerald with you. The Knights fell behind pretty quickly in the first half. Kentucky has kept them at arm's length away the majority of this game. Wildcats trying to win their 5th straight. And there is a Hagans hand check on Jenkins. So the first foul on the defensive player of the year in the conference a year ago. That big 17-0 run is what really did it.
Well, and right now the challenge is don't play the scoreboard. And Coach Cal has shown his team clips of previous teams where they didn't do that. That huge lead they built early in the game against UCLA a couple years back, and how they didn't stop. They kept playing their same game. So let's see if this young Wildcat team can do the same here.
It's been the alliteration this week. Fight and finish have been the two key words Calipari has used as he continues to motivate this team. Remember,
he's pretty good at conveying his message and making us repeat it, right?
Motivating, right? He's pretty good at that?
Yeah. He coaches the media, too.
There's Richards. Richard, he doesn't have to dribble when he scores underneath, right?
Hey, I mean, that's his game. It just catch and dunk, catch, jump, hook. He's got the 15-footer. In all honesty, though, we asked Coach Cal, like, do you tell your guards not to throw it to Nick Richards if he's off the block, where he doesn't have a good advantage? He said yes. I mean, if he's not within the paint, he doesn't establish, he hadn't fought for that position, don't give it to him. And if he does get it outside the paint, he's instructed to go do dribble handoffs.
Foul on Montgomery. Well, what is the key to Richards' big step forward this year in his third year with the Wildcats?
He has built confidence. He deserves to be confident. So to me, the thing is, these gaudy numbers he's put up against lesser competition, if he's not able to duplicate that as the competition increases, will he get his head down, or will he still play with the energy and enthusiasm that this team needs from their big man?
Remember, he's still relatively new to the game of basketball. Of course, he's from Jamaica. Played his high school ball in New Jersey. But growing up, he was a soccer, volleyball, lacrosse player. Nice follow there from Bishop. Didn't pick up basketball until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And he scores it again. No dribbles, no problem. Free throw coming.
Well, and this is textbook. You teach this in Little League. Big guys, when you get the ball there, do not bring it down low. He catches it above his head, and now he's just playing with him. I'm taller, I'm bigger, I'm better. I'm Nick Richards going to the line with an and one.
Richards at the line for one.
72% from the stripe. Plus, he is scoring 10 more points per game this year for Coach Cal than he did a season ago. You know, Rex Chapman was mentioning it to us before the game. The key for this year's team might be the production that Kentucky gets from Richards and from Nate Sestina as well, who's going to be out for a couple more weeks with the left wrist injury.
Well, Rex Chapman needs to put out on his Twitter feed, one of the most famous Twitter Twitter accounts in the world. Is he more famous as a Kentucky player or as a tweeter?
There's Montgomery again. Yeah, I don't know if you can deny the greatness on social media right now. You know, the blocker charge. Did he find that dunk Kalena Ezebuki had over you in the past? Was that a blocker? Was that a blocker charge scenario?
Okay, I can play that game. Kentucky fans may remember 2005 SEC tournament. Our head coach was Buzz Peterson. If we didn't win that game, our staff was going to probably get fired. Turnover in the backcourt. So I'm going to go down swinging, even though I know I can't block Ezebuki's shot. No easy buckets. And I get up there to try to block Ezebuki's dunk, or at least foul him. He put his forearm in my throat and dunked on me so hard. And the worst part is they didn't even call a foul. And so we inbound the ball, and I'm literally out of breath. And I'm trying to call a play, but I can't breathe because I got dunked on so hard with Ezebuki's forearm to the throat. And so I'm just sitting here, and people are trying to read my lips on what play we're calling. And I was, that one, that's my slice of humble pie for now.
It's riveting.
My teammate C.J. Watson later played with Ezebuki in Golden State, I believe. And C.J. said even Ezebuki brought it up, like, hey, that's one of my best points I've ever had. So you don't want to be on that list.
Dane, it's good for you to come to grips with your past. That's the first step to moving forward.
Well, it's not a situation where I have to admit I have a problem. I knew I had a problem. I know I have a leaping and athleticism problem. It's just You weren't going to give up the easy two when the ship was sinking on the Tennessee Vols that year.
There's Rush for three. The freshman from Warrensville, Ohio, has back to a 20-point.
Excuse me, Kevin. Hagans points to his chest, looks at coach, and says, "My bad, my bad." That's one of the things Coach Cal has told him. You have to be more disciplined defensively. Don't take gambles, because if you do, the freshmen are more vulnerable and they'll follow your lead.
Oh, what's the difference or the comparison there between aggressive defense and then undisciplined defense? Get that answer next. We'll take a timeout. Kentucky by 20. Inside Rupp Arena, Kentucky with a big lead over FDU. Dane Bradshaw, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Wildcats shooting really effectively from the field.
Oh, they're playing great right now, and you expected them to. We knew the competition would be low, but it can go one of two ways. Either you can sleepwalk, and then you'll get punished in practice next week, and Coach Cal will think, did you guys even pay attention this week? Or you can go out and perform, make your coach happy. You're not perfect, but I think they're making strides.
Well, Hagans to Montgomery, that has been a nice connection today. 18 points, that's a new career high for the sophomore.
Well, he's run the floor, he's crashed the glass. I mean, he's got 4 offensive rebounds, that's the key and path to Coach Calipari's heart, is crash the glass. And there you see it, E.J. Montgomery. We were talking earlier today, Kevin, sometimes the best NBA prospect on your team isn't the best college player, which has been the case with E.J. Montgomery. But right now, the way he's playing, he's checking both boxes.
Collision right near the rim. Hagans was skying. There's the first foul on Mark Datica in his first minutes. I think it also illustrates another point. And we were discussing this with the terrific duo of Eric Lindsay, Deb Moore, the SIDs here at Kentucky, but everybody's on their own timetable, right? It always takes different lengths of time to develop to become that next level NBA talent. On Monday at 7, we're going to bring you Thinking Out Loud Bowl Special with Greg McElroy, Marcus Spears, Alyssa Lang. They're going to break down all those bowl games that feature SEC teams right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. 9 teams bowl eligible right now. Bound to get 3, maybe 4 in those New Year's 6 bowls. 14-zip LSU in the SEC championship game.
I mean, if LSU was to allow Georgia to come back, in your mind, LSU still in top 4? I'd say so. I mean, I think you could.
Lincoln Riley is smiling right now. We'll take the score as it currently stands.
Like I said, Kevin, nobody in the country can stop Hagans from penetrating, and he does such a great job. He's not penetrating to score typically. He wants to draw defenders, and as soon as he gets you up in the air, whoop, easy 2 for my big man. I mean, if I'm a big for Kentucky, I am running the court. I'm right behind Hagans' heels or ahead of him and keeping my eyes. If you move when he has the ball in his hands, he's going to find you.
The sophomore from Cartersville, Georgia, has 7 assists today, had 12 last Friday against UAB. He is playing with total confidence. Datica, no.
Well, to even have a chance in Rupp, I mean, you've got to play special if you're a mid-major team, and Fairleigh Dickinson has certainly not been special, especially from the three-point line. It's just been a cold off night for them.
Just 4 of 18 from downtown. Although Rush is heading back to the line. It was going to take, to your point, certainly a masterpiece and a masterful effort to duplicate what Evansville did last month.
Well, and big picture for FDU, their conference, the NEC, it's really anybody's conference to win. I mean, the teams are so similar, great coaches, they know each other well, and everybody understands it is a one-bid league. As the fans get on their feet, consecutive missed free throws. Is this the Chick-fil-A promo?
Denied.
And Rush.
If that's not a great moment for Brandon Rush, freshman year, I don't know what is. Denying the hungry nearly 20,000 fans here. There's Whitney feasting. That's exactly what Greg Herenda's team did last year. Went on the road in the NEC championship game, defeated St. Francis to punch that bid to the NCAA tournament. Look at Hagens, was reading that one all the way. Oh, and the recovery from Williams.
Checking in for the Knights is number 1, BJ Saliba. He replaces
Pushing the fast break here. Hagens denied like a Chick-fil-A promo. Williams, he runs the court hard. He's a big boy, plays hard, huge heart. While we're on the theme of food, big a heart as that ribeye I had last night at Tony's.
I was
put on
enjoying
your 9-ounce filet, which is cute. That's great.
You know, I didn't even have a chance to get the Brussels sprouts on my plate. I turn and look, and that ribeye was devoured.
It's about fight and finish, you know. I took on the fight, and I finished it at Tony's. It's the theme of the week.
Jenkins off the mark. Well, we'll see where we wind up next week for Dane's eating adventure.
Well, the players
see
had,
if we can challenge you each week.
What's the restaurant they tried out yesterday?
Oh, that's right. No Chick-fil-A for the Wildcats. They like Stormy Crab. Stormy Crab, yeah, that's the name of the restaurant.
Number 12, Haley Bishop, also number 25, Daniel Rodriguez.
We haven't heard the results from the Stormy Crab, but 27-point lead. Something went
I think
right.
they're going back. That was where the team meal was yesterday evening. Dane's got his eyes on surf and turf tonight. There was a foul. It was Richards.
The foul is on Richards. That's his first 17.
That's what was missing from your plate last night.
He doesn't quite get set. He's still moving a little bit. Good job by Rush. So athletic, able to avoid that charge. If he was less athletic and had to barrel right through, Richards probably would have got the call. But typically when that offensive player is able to sidestep the defender, whistle's going to go in his favor.
Largest lead of the afternoon for Kentucky. Went on that 17-0 run in the first half. Has been up 20 or more for much of this game. Jenkins missed that one short. So the troubles from beyond the arc continue for FDU. Now 20% from beyond the stripe.
Well, you got to finish the possession, but man, I really love Maxi's intensity.
Block from Richards. Saliba got it back. Rush. That is another one affected, this time by Brooks Jr. How many chances was that for FDU? 4 or 5. Rodriguez couldn't stick it in. There's Maxey. That one pinned by Bishop.
Got him.
Oh, and the one-handed finish from Caleb Bishop.
Boy, you
Stretch
could see
it all the way
just
back.
getting timed out perfect. Right when it went off the rim, when I saw where he was ready to eat, baby.
FDU playing above the rim. Brooks has that one fall through.
Well, and that's where Brooks can solidify his spot in the rotation. It might look like a simple turnaround jumper against his own, but this Kentucky team is not full of great three-point shooters. Teams are going to play zone. So can you be a reliable 15-foot shooter at the heart of that defense?
Rush from 15, no. Keon Brooks Jr.
Rarely are you down 30 and you still get a highlight in the game. But my man Bishop, representing Fairleigh Dickinson, going to catch this one off the rim, cock it back and send it in, number 12. Get yourself on sports.
Time now for our mayhem moment, brought to you by Allstate. It's the incessant defense leading the offense.
And it starts with and finishes with Ashton Hagens appropriately. He's the identity of this team. He wreaks havoc on the defensive end when they get it in his hands, and everybody knows you'll be rewarded. And E.J. Montgomery has showed terrific activity and energy and played inspired basketball all afternoon.
Set a career high last week with 16 points. Now he resets the career high with 18 points tonight. And then 15 points off of the turnovers for the Wildcats. We're looking to pick up win number 5 in a row after the loss to Evansville on November 12th. Kentucky was so close last year. Lost in the Elite Eight. Second time in 3 years it lost in that regional final. Loses 3 first-rounders off of last year's roster. But it's got this really strong backcourt. Maxey, who has the ball, certainly has much more upside than maybe the casual college basketball fan would have realized.
That was interesting and fun to hear as Bishop with another tip dunk. In practice yesterday, when Coach Kyle says to his team, this was after 2 really tough days of practice, so he was a little bit easier on them before game day. But he said, there's nobody in the country that has our upside. If you have a good attitude and stick with the process, you guys can do something special. And right now, he might not look very interested, but his team's taking care of business.
Got a decade of John Calipari in Lexington. He won a national championship in 2012, the 4 Final Four appearances, the 305 wins. And look, all of these, the most for any Division I college basketball team since the start of the 2009-2010 season. Okay, so that leads us to constructing our all-decade or all-Calipari-era Kentucky teams. Dane, start with yours. Who you got here?
It's real simple. You tried to build an all-star team. I tried to build a winning team. I mean, I've got the glue guy and the leader, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I've got the best quarterback you could ask for, Tyler Ulis, an absolute pest on the ball defender, never makes a mistake offensively. And then you did okay with the rest. But, you know, here's the other thing, too. Ulis was a sophomore. You're not winning the whole thing with freshmen. You've got to have some experience and veteran leadership. And, you know, I know you're attracted to the big, gaudy numbers and the one-and-dones, but I got to say, I think I won that matchup based on just chemistry.
You done?
Yeah.
You have more?
No, I'm going to keep rambling here for a minute. Yeah.
Look, I've got 3. I wanted 3 guards. We are going to outscore you this starting 5. We will defend at the rim.
A lot of dynasties have been built on offense-first type programs. Yeah. Keep going.
And we'll run you out of the gym.
So Kevin Fitzgerald is building his team. He's recruiting players without even saying the word defense. See, that's where we're going to get you guys.
Now, I will say we were implored by, I referenced the dynamic duo of sports information here in Kentucky, Deb Moore and Eric Lindsay. And they both implored us, having Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is probably a necessary piece. You want that glue guy.
Yeah,
right?
my guy started the Breakfast Club here at UK. I mean, he's got guys getting up early to get some shots up, weights up, while all the competition's sleeping in.
You walk around that Joe Kraft Center where Kentucky practices, not just us, but these players, and you see the images of all of those players that we listed and dozens more in their NBA uniforms, their statistics, the highlights. Usually it's an image of them
$2 billion worth of
yeah.
NBA contracts.
Who's your sixth man, by the way?
Oh, sixth man.
I'm bringing Boogie Cousins.
You're going to bring Boogie Cousins. I like that a lot. I'm kind of looking for the spark plug. Maybe I might even throw Eric Bledsoe in there. Just speed, get after you. Another on-the-ball defender when Ulis has to go out. That's been, aside from this list, was trying to think of the top 5 on-ball defenders, because Hagens is in that class to me, and Tyler Ulis, who I love as well. And then you've got Isaiah Briscoe and Eric Bledsoe. And the guy you mentioned earlier, Eric Lindsay, reminded me of, he said, DeAndre Liggins was an on-ball defender too. Billy Gillespie recruit, but man, once Kyle sold him on, this is how you can really make an impact. That dude was a beast.
Well, kudos, by the way, to Kentucky beat reporter Kyle Tucker, who is excellent, by the way, in his coverage, but he wrote an article about the all-decade team. He offered his starting 5. The defense you bring up.
And that's where I give you a little, if you're naming the best players, most talented and all that, that's one thing. But if we're really going head-to-head, you're going to take that loss like the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights.
SEC Championship game coverage from Atlanta continues at 7:30 Eastern with SEC Now. Full breakdown with coaches and player interviews. You can always catch it on the ESPN app as well. It's a question that's always asked. Do you remember your commencement speaker, right? Well, if you were part of the 2019 FDU graduating class, the captivating Greg Herenda, the head coach of the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights, was the commencement speaker in front of a few thousand there at MetLife Stadium. Well done from Coach Herenda, by the way, as well, bringing the NEC championship trophy as well. He had that crowd compelled there. He said to us earlier today, took a little while to write the speech, but once he got up there, he was ready to go.
And how awesome when most of the time they have some quote from a historian and philosopher, and he used his mother's quote, which was, ring the door with your elbow. And I thought, what does that even mean? But the whole theme is, make sure you're bringing something, giving something to the people you're visiting. And so he did a phenomenal job. Video's online if anybody wants to watch it. And then you mentioned he was nervous before, but once he got into a gymnasium feel, he felt like he was at home again.
It's amazing. That crowd is actually larger than the one that will be there for Giants Dolphins next week. It's amazing.
Well, nobody wants to see the Giants. Big matchup for us on Monday.
Yeah, we've got a couple of...
See who wins that pillow fight between your team and mine.
A couple of demoralized NFC East fans over here. War Eagles against my Giants.
I'm holding out
Monday.
hope. I'm holding out hope. Got to stay positive.
At what, 2-11, thanks to the Cowboys. Think the Giants are still in the playoff race?
Yeah.
Somehow. It's been a strong night for the Wildcats. They went on a 17-0 run in the first half. Went up by 20. It's not been close since. Now FDU is going to be just fine. And this is a team that is likely to finish at the top of the NEC again this year. That's the 3rd foul on Hagens. You want to talk about bringing something to the table. Greg Herenda brought you an invitation to his radio show that he hosts on Saturday mornings. So you got to keep me updated when you're going to be on there with.
Well, if I am, I'm going to make sure that that I make their game notes next year or next season on the special guests he's had, because he's got quite the crew. I want my name amongst those names.
Well, in just a few short minutes.
Whether I deserve it or not, it's beside the point. I was on the show. That's going to be my. That's going to be part of my negotiation.
In just a few short minutes, first meeting Coach Herenda, he was telling us the story of his grandfather who used to babysit Frank Sinatra. Bill Bergen is the name of his grandfather. Not sure many have the distinction of being able to claim they babysat Frank Sinatra.
That's incredible. I mean, Bill Bergen was inducted into the Brooklyn Basketball Hall of Fame with New York Knicks legend Willis Reed. You know, he even said he's got his players listening to some of the Sinatra stuff. You know, they play their music first, and then he comes in and takes his, which I grew up in Memphis and playing ball at White Station High School, Memphis City Leagues, and you know, usually when you'd go into the warm-ups, it was whatever the latest, greatest hip-hop song was that you warm up to. Our coach made us warm up to his favorite song every game, In the Middle of the Night by Billy Joel. So we were acting all tough. We were ready to roll. It could be the biggest game of the year, and we were still rolling out to Billy Joel's In the Middle of the Night. Then we went out and smacked people for making fun of us.
How about Higgins, by the way? His play of late.
He's been playing so well, just under control, his composure, making plays for others. I mean, that's something, whenever I'm looking at film, Kevin, one of the first things I do is look at the roster and say, is there a player on the team that makes the other people around him better? And Ashton Higgins is that clear answer for the Kentucky Wildcats. Many teams don't even have one.
He's on Jenkins. Bishop for three. Higgins eyes up. Montgomery. And the flush. That helps. Bishop's a contested 2. And the rebound to Maxey. Well, Higgins has specifically enhanced the play of his freshman teammate, Tyrese Maxey. Those two push each other in practice. Typically it's Higgins more so with the pushing. And threw it away there. That's just the second turnover for Maxey. He's got 9 assists tonight. So look at the rest of the way for Kentucky. The non-conference slate featured that opening night win against #1 Michigan. Utah is out in Vegas on December 18th. They'll stay there to play Ohio State. And then #1 Louisville on December 28th. And oh, by the way, don't forget about the national runner-ups from a year ago, Texas Tech, in the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
Well, the Ohio State Buckeyes put up 106 today against Penn State.
Wow.
I mean, that team is playing some ball right now. So this is a team, there's no question to me, as they, you know, it's gonna be a little bit of a roller coaster at times, and you know, it'll be a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, but one thing that'll certainly help their resume come tournament and selection Sunday is going to be strength of schedule. I mean, they're going out and playing people, and they're going to learn a lot about themselves entering conference play.
I mean, it is not inconceivable to think Kentucky may play, of course, #1 Louisville, but could Ohio State rise to 2 or 3? You could go up against 2 top 3 ranked teams potentially in a week span.
An opportunity to go home happy at Christmas off a big top 5 win and come home after Christmas, knock off #1. That'd be a good way to enter the new year. Coach Kyle's going to have to keep their attention with Georgia Tech coming up. The film's not going to look good in their recent game. They got beat by 34 today against that tough Syracuse zone. And, man, they just were not ready for it. But, again, part of the maturation process, not playing the scoreboard, not playing down to the competition. And I think Coach Kyle's got to be really pleased with it. Yes, they've made a few mistakes here and there, but that's going to happen throughout the course of the game. And I'm really pleased at how well the big men are shooting that mid-range shot, knowing that they'll face a lot of zone this year.
What an afternoon for E.J. Montgomery. Career high 25 points. Going up, Whitney with the finish. Highlight reel play number 2 tonight for the 5-star freshman. Kentucky in position to get to 7-1, win its 5th straight game, up big with 3:03 to go.
Well, Tyrese Maxey pushing it up the court, and you can throw lobs. There's nothing too high for this guy. Whitney up, and away.
All E.J. Montgomery tonight for the Wildcats.
This guy's been sensational, just running the floor all night and crashing the offensive glass. The film is going to look good for E.J. Montgomery.
Career high in points, as you just alluded to here. So Kentucky moving forward after what's bound to be a big win today. What's this rotation going to look like once it gets towards that difficult part of its non-conference and then SEC play?
That's one of the most interesting things for me when you follow this talented Kentucky team is, yes, they've got 10 guys on this roster that could start for almost anybody in the country. And yet there's going to be a couple guys that aren't going to be getting off the bench come late February and March. So who is going to separate themselves defensively, making threes that Coach Cal can rely on? Because we've seen in years past, 8 at most is what he's comfortable with on the rotation. So at times it could be 7, even 6,
right,
but definitely not 9 or 10. And so we'll see how this thing plays out. And these are opportunities right now where, you know, you're not going to separate yourself against Fairleigh Dickinson. But you better come to play, because you can get yourself in the doghouse too, to where you start sliding down the scale for Coach Calipari.
And remember, we're talking rotation. Nate Sestina, he'll be back in a couple of weeks. The All-Patriot League performer last year at Bucknell was going for 7 and 7 over the first couple games of the year before he broke his left wrist.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I think you're looking at Khalil Whitney, Keon Brooks, Johnny Juzang, and Nate Sestina. So of those guys, and you got to think Sestina will be in there given his veteran presence and all the intangibles he brings to the table. And in a lot of ways, see who can kind of make the cut, if you will.
Dante Allen as well, 4-star recruit in the class of 2019. He is still recovering from an ACL tear. Nice triple from a couple of steps outside the arc by Caleb Baker, the freshman from Ontario.
You mentioned and repeated some of the things that Coach Cal often says, everybody's on their own timetable. And P.J. Washington has been the poster boy for coming back. I mean, he comes back for his sophomore year, and this guy's playing at an all-star level right now for the Hornets. And so, you know, sometimes you feel like the outcast if you don't go to the green room or you're not prepared on draft night after 1 year of college. And P.J. Washington's shown, hey, there's some upside for coming back.
Fine ovation for E.J. Montgomery, Ashton Hagans. Those two have just checked out. The level of determination and the work ethic that Washington brought with him in year 2. You mentioned poster boy. It's a great example for many of these players.
Well, and what changed? You know, I mean, he got that dog in him, that fight full time, which is what Coach Cal's looking for. He's rattled off a number of players. Bam Adebayo. He's a guy that, you know, wasn't necessarily going to be an all-star. He looked like he was going to be a good role player in the NBA, and man, he is balling right now. But again, he's a guy that fights, and so there's so many examples and role models for these young cats to look up to in the NBA.
And a player like Nick Richards, for example, acknowledged it himself. He said recently, look, Coach Cal is right when he talks about the timetable. You develop the confidence. There is just one way to do it, if you will, to reach the next level. There are many paths to the NBA. And he's one of the best at getting those players there, one way or the other.
Of the players that have finished their careers at Kentucky, 63.3% gone on to the NBA. Pretty unbelievable stat.
Kentucky 48 seconds away now from winning its 600th game inside Rupp Arena. They would already be at 600 had you and Tennessee not beaten this team back in 2006
right.
in this building.
Yeah, we delayed the celebration. We'll never put it off without my 2 points.
I think it was the Bruce Pearl bright orange jacket that really did it. Or Chris Lofton going for 30. That might have helped.
Probably.
Riley Welch into the game. Brennan Canada checking in. Getting some minutes in the final 30 seconds for the Wildcats. Okeke off the mark, and Kentucky can dribble it out. A thoroughly dominant win from start to finish. It's a 31-point advantage and win for Kentucky. This program now 672 in this building.
Kevin, I thought Kentucky did what they had to do. I mean, it was a business-like approach. I don't think they played the scoreboard. They showed the intensity and focus for a full 40 minutes. And I think Coach Cal's got to look at this game, despite it being a blowout, and say, we took a step forward this game. And now it's a so what, now what mentality that you have to bring into that locker room.
25 points for E.J. Montgomery. A new career high to go along with 9 rebounds. And Montgomery joins us when we return. 31-point win for Kentucky. E.J. Montgomery with a new career high. 25 points today in Kentucky's 31-point win over FDU. And we're now joined by E.J. Montgomery. So the 25 points today. What in the world happened this afternoon?
You know, I just try to go out there and have fun. We've been having a lot of hard practices trying to fight each other, so the game was easy. Well, not easy because they did a good job playing defense, but, you know, I'm just trying to go out there and have fun.
So the 16 points in your last game, you follow it up with 25 more. What's been the difference? Where have you taken a step forward the last couple of weeks?
Just mentally. I'm just going in the game mentally focused, just trying to be the best I can be, just do everything I can on the floor.
You mentioned the difficult practices. We watched them. They've been pretty intense. How has that prepared you guys as you move into a difficult month of December?
We're just trying to get better every day. Coach's main focus is fighting and finish. We have to fight during the game and finishing out the game. So that was the main focus tonight, and we got the W.
Talk to me about the fight then. Why today were you guys able to put it together for 40 full minutes? What was the key?
Just a lot of conditioning and practice. You know, we've been running up and down the floor, just going at each other, so we just put it together in the game.
Best part about playing with Ashton Hagans?
He's fast. He's getting a lot of assists, you know. That's what I like. He's a good PG, and I'm proud of him.
Moving forward the next couple of weeks, you're going to play Louisville. You're going to play Ohio State. You guys are going to be on the road. How do you continue these winning ways in a difficult stretch moving forward?
We just got to continue going at each other in practice, have to get better every day and just compete.
EJ, thanks for the time.
Good.
The 25 points, a new career high for the sophomore. The final, Kentucky 83, FDU 52. Remember, coming up next, True South Beaumont presented by Yellowwood. So for Dane Bradshaw and our entire great crew, I'm Kevin Fitzgerald saying so long from Lexington. It's a big win for Kentucky.